Mian Hussain in the green, Alessio Domarin in the red. Mark Abrams, Corey Erdman ringside here at the Hilton Lac Limy in Gatineau, Quebec, Canada.
You noticed in the stare down, there is a size differential between these two guys. Domarin came in as a true 154-pounder. Mian Hussain wants to fight at welterweight and came in at about 149.
You see Domarin kind of lunging in with the right hand from distance. Straight left from Hussain gets through. Little combination as Domarin walks into a jab.
Hussain looking to counter with that right hook. He saw a lot of that out of him as an amateur. It's important that he doesn't throw that too wide. If he wants to counter with it, stay in range and keep it tight. He has some dangerous power when he does that. Right.
Counter from Hussain gets through.
A Marine, a guy who has a Bachelor of Sports Sciences from the University of Rome. Hussain, meanwhile, is a full-time boxer.
Straight left from that full-time boxer, Mian Hussain. Domarin is throwing these wild punches just like that. Hussain, like you said, looks for the knockout. I think there's going to be some openings over the next 4 rounds.
Well, both these guys are looking for it, and Domarin has the build to be a knockout puncher, but whether he has the technique to make that happen remains to be seen. He has been stopped before. He's stopped by a guy who has gone on to a 4-18 career in Marian Markovic. So that might illustrate just what the ceiling is for Domarin.
Some of the action with Hussain trying to pin Domarin against the ropes. A lot of movement from Domarin. Not much going on there.
He's kind of getting into a rhythm. He'll kind of bounce 2 or 3 times and then try to
throw one of those
step in, jab, step in. Right.
Throw one of those wild right hands.
I think Hussain has spent the better part of round 1 just trying to time it.
End of round 1. Scheduled for 4. Scheduled for 6. Take a look at some of the action from round 1.
In the early going, Hussain getting that left hand moving and was looking for that counter right hook. You see him just trying to load it up as he was doing that. Towards the end of the round, was just waiting for Domarin to come at him. And this is what Hussain will do. Kind of fights in spurts, but not in that he's taking time off, but he will try to ambush you with power shots over and over again throughout a round.
Round number 2 scheduled for 6. Mian Hussain and Alessio Domarin. See what adjustments were made in between rounds. Hussain lands a left to the body.
Hussain had a storied amateur career. He was the Canadian national champion.
And lands a straight left and a little right hook.
Nearly made it to the Olympics this past year. He only lost to Custio Clayton, who went on to represent Canada. But Clayton right now is sitting at home in the Maritimes looking for a manager and a promoter. Meanwhile, Hussain is off to a good start in his pro career, so it's turned out to be a little bit of a blessing for Hussain thus far.
Yeah, he's been a pro about 9 months. This is now his 6th fight for the 22-year-old from Montreal.
And he's had the opportunity to kind of grow up on Wealth TV as well. He's had 2 fights here, one on the boxing channel as well. So he hasn't been developing in anonymity either. And if he continues scoring good-looking knockouts, he'll generate some buzz in no time. See, one of the knocks on Hussain is that he needs to create these openings rather than just wait for them to come at him.
He's got a tall guy in front of him, so I think he's trying to just figure out what, he's almost like freakishly tall for a welterweight / junior middleweight is Domarin.
Well, his favorite fighter is Tommy Hearn, so I suppose he's looking up to people with similar physiques. But Hussain did say he'd never seen Domarin fight in his life. There just hasn't been any footage on him. So if this is a feeling out process, if he is feeling him out and trying to figure him out, I suppose that can be understandable.
Somehow you found the footage of the spectacular knockout of Domarin.
Well, he needs to give me a call, perhaps. Although that would compromise my journalistic integrity, wouldn't it?
Corey Erdman searching high and low for footage. Straight left from Hussain. I think that buckled Domarin as Hussain lands another body shot. Domarin now starting to throw in more authority and more often now. Action picking up here 30 seconds ago in round 2.
Hussain also has an advantage in the judges' eyes because every punch that he lands, the wild hair of Domarin goes flying and it looks even more impactful.
Hussain just misses with a counter right. End of round 2. Scheduled for 6. Right hook from Mian Hussain. Again, Domarin reaching with the right hand. Great fight night on Wealth TV. Some great programming on Wealth TV. Planet Luxury, 7 a.m. and 4 p.m. Eastern. Tomorrow, on this episode, we'll be talking diamonds with some jewelry experts in New York City. And check out the weekend getaways for multi-millionaires in the form of high-end house boats. We see some of the action around 2, Corey.
This is again Hussain looking to land that left hand. Just looking for those spots. He found one toward the end of the round and had Domarin wobbled for the first time in this fight. Hussain may be mindful of Domarin's power because he hadn't seen him fight before, but he did know about that scary knockout that he scored, so perhaps cognizant of the reputation of his opponent coming into this one.
Round 3 scheduled for 6. Mian Hussain in the green, Alessio Domarin in the red. Straight left from Hussain, probably his best punch of the fight so far.
Domarin stood up to that one, but he probably wouldn't be able to stand up to too many more.
See if that changes Domarin's ways about trying to get inside. It's interesting that Domarin staying on the outside but not really throwing. And when he does throw, he's winding up almost inside with all the lunging and leaning.
Well, his length is giving Hussain a problem in that as an ambush fighter, he's a lot better suited with shorter guys that he can just walk in on. But just by sticking his arm out there and pawing with the jab, Domarin is at least deterring Hussain from jumping in, and it's forcing him to reach like he did with that right hook.
Left and a right to the body from Hussain. Hussain just misses with a right hook. went over, as Corey termed it, the wild hair of Alessio Domarin.
Hussain has a very, very unusual style. In trying to think of fighters I could compare him to, I really could not think of anyone. I mean, he doesn't really have a style like anyone in the pro game right now.
Domarin got in a little right hand as Hussain gets in a left. Referee tells him to keep the punch up.
And typically low punch output guys who like to stay on the outside and jump in they're typically spoilers. And that's kind of what Hussain was as an amateur, but he fancies himself a power puncher in the professionals. So very, very seldom do you find a guy who fights the way he does but throws with the conviction that he does.
Straight left to the body from Hussain.
We're kind of seeing this one play out the way that his fight against Sylvester Walczak did when he was in there with a taller guy as well and had difficulty getting into a rhythm.
There's a straight left. See Hussain getting in a little, just as I said that, it looked like he was trying to creep in a little closer to Domarin as he landed that big left at the end of the round. See Morrissey Gotchka warming up. See, he looks to take on Tony Luis. You see the lightning Tony Luis warming up. Cornwall, Ontario zone. Start round 4. Scheduled for 6, Mian Hussain.
I'd say all 3 of the best punches of the fight came in that last round. We'll see if Hussain does inch closer and throw that left hand more often.
Domarin tries to get in a right.
Well, you can see Hussain thinking about it. He's putting his guard up. He's just looking to close the distance.
Just don't know why Domarin isn't jabbing more. Straight left to the body from Hussain.
Hussain does make it difficult to jab on him because he's not really in your typical range. Right now he's in the pocket. Right now Domarin could be jabbing, but for the most part,
just been jumping up and down a little right from Domarin.
Hussain trying to invite that right hand a little bit. Maybe try to come over the top.
The right hook left combination from Hussain. Straight left hits gloves. That right got through though. Domarin throws the right, good right to the body from Hussain. Best combination of the fight there has Domarin in the corner.
I was waiting for the moment when Hussain would just get fed up and blitz Domarin. It looked like he was going to do that. He did for just a moment.
Right to the body from Domarin. Left and a right, good combination from Hussain. For the first time has Domarin on the ropes, gets in another left and a right.
Domarin's been a little bit difficult for Hussain to open up on. He's gangly and he's awkward. Manages to shake his way out of these bad situations like that one, but he is busted wide open now.
Yeah, now he's cut around the right eye, in between like his nose and his eye. Right hook from Hussain.
Looks like the blood is running down his nose and not in his eyesight, but we'll take a look when we get to the corner.
End of round 4, scheduled for 6. Mian Hussain in control here. He lands a left to punctuate the round. You see the bloody face of Alessio Domarin.
Well, that cut certainly isn't a nice one, and it was caused by the increased work rate of Mian Hussain throughout this round. You see, he just kept taking a half step into closer range by putting his guard up, catching a punch or two, and then unleashing. And there you see the cut starting to open up beside the eye and on the bridge of the nose of Domarin.
I was trying to read the referee's body language. I think he pointed to his head, maybe caused by a headbutt, or at least ruled by a headbutt. Round 5 scheduled for 6.
You can see the eagerness of Hussain for that knockout just building. He's almost irritated that he hasn't had it yet.
Straight left from Hussain. See if he uses more of that straight left and targets that cut. You can see now he's, what you said a round or so ago, he's putting his gloves up and trying to walk to Domarin a little bit more.
And in doing so, he is able to put a stiff jab out there. For the most part, he uses his right hand either to measure his opponent or throw that sweeping right hook jumping in. Because he's getting closer, he's able to tag Domarin with a jab, which he did a moment ago.
See the blood starting to form again around the right eye. Jab to the body from Hussain. Good right hook from Hussain.
That's what he was looking for in the opening round.
Domarin, you know, last 15 seconds, he flicked the jab out, and he looked a lot more competent. Could have been doing a lot more of that right hook from Hussain. Body shot, good uppercut from Hussain.
Now Hussain showing a little bit of punch variety. Hussain can get a little bit repetitive because of how he fights. You see, he has plenty in his arsenal when he wants to open up, and as the distance closes between him and his opponent.
Domarin looks very unsure of himself as he eats another right hook. I mean, it's always good to fight guys with different styles, especially in the growing process for a 22-year-old like Hussain is. But it doesn't, you know, bring out his true strengths, as you said. Oh, a good right hook. Another one.
There aren't too many fighters that would look good against a style like Domarin's. He's physically imposing. He's awkward.
It's always good, though. I mean, Hussain now going into the 6th round for the first time as he lands a left at the end of round 5. Here at the Hilton Lac Lamy in Gatineau, Quebec. See some of the action. Short a moment. Look into the corner of Mian Hussain.
See some of the action here. There is that counter right hand. He found a home for it a couple times in this round. And we saw a little bit of punch variety from Mian Hussain. Again, in the areas that he typically operates from, he's nowhere near his opponent and trying to jump in and land shots, which is a tricky style for guys to deal with. Kind of has to rely on one or two punches, but as he's been getting closer to Domarin, who's obviously bigger than him and longer than him, we've shown that he has a little bit more in his arsenal.
Sixth and final round. Mian Hussain and Alessio Domarin. Great left from Hussain.
And some of these are right hands that maybe would have finished off a 147-pounder, which I think is why he wants to get down to welterweight. He wants to be a big welterweight rather than a little guy fighting guys like Domarin.
Body shot from Hussain. Domarin tries to throw a right, countered by Hussain. Straight left.
Looks like Hussain's trying to set him up, touch to the body, and then come over top with a right hook.
Straight left from Hussain.
Well, Domarin isn't giving him opportunities along the ropes. He isn't letting Hussain flurry.
Hussain jumps in with a little left hand.
I think as it's turned out, Domarin's a lot better, or at least a lot more difficult than his record would have suggested.
For sure. He's definitely a angly, awkward guy. Right hook from Hussain and a hard left there. And he has Domarin going backwards.
Domarin may have been hurt for the first time in this fight there.
I think Hussain badly wants this stoppage, too.
Well, he's a guy who's talking about the knockout at the weigh-in, let alone worrying about it throughout the fight. He is hungry to stop guys. Typically, a fighter will tell you, well, I'll go the rounds if I have to. Hussain is very disappointed if he doesn't knock his opponent out. I'm sure that's an attitude that would please a lot of fans, but this isn't a style that is letting him be pleasing here tonight for the most part.
Body shot and a good uppercut from Hussain. Going back to the body. Ducks underneath the right hand and Domarin holding on.
Being creative with his combination there along the ropes. A triple right hand.
Straight left there. Hard shots on the ropes. A mouthpiece comes out. Domarin, look at the referee. They're like, I don't know what Domarin was looking for there. Obviously, with Hussain all over him, the referee isn't going to pause the bout for his mouthpiece. But the sixth and final bell.
I don't know if the rules are different elsewhere, perhaps in Italy. Certainly not in any Italian fights I've ever seen, but Domarin nearly got himself knocked out by not looking. Doesn't look particularly pleased with the referee, but take a look at some of the action from the sixth and final round, and Hussain getting Domarin along the ropes where he's been able to hold on and spoil a little bit. But Hussain really got to open up, really chasing the knockout here in the sixth round. There's that combination, yeah, an uppercut, a series of right hands. A short left uppercut on the inside there, and then
there goes the mouthpiece.
I mean, this is just bizarre.
I don't think I've ever seen that. Or a guy getting in the middle, getting battered, looking at the ref to tell him to stop the fight for the mouthpiece. But look at the face of Domarin. 6 rounds. Those shots got to him, as you can tell by the face.
Well, he stood up to a guy who scored some highlight reel knockouts in the past. As we mentioned, proved to be a lot tougher than he appeared on paper.
But this looks to be an easy victory for Mian Hussain. Looks like they'll be lucky number 7 in the win column. Ring announcer Pierre Bernier making his way into the ring to tell us what I believe will be 60-54 at least across the board. Let's throw up to Pierre Bernier to tell us.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 6 hard-fought rounds, we go to the scorecards. Judges Esno, Paquette, and Roussel all see it the same way. 60-54 for the winner by unanimous decision. And now undefeated with 6 wins, Super Mian Hussain!
Mian Hussain